Hey, what's up, Bulls and Bears? Back with another dose. It is Black Friday. Happy Black Friday to everybody. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Even if you were all by yourself, if you were with family, doesn't matter. When I grew up in my 20s, I spent some Thanksgivings by myself and still had a good time. I didn't feel the need to interact. My family was kind of dysfunctional, so that's why I wasn't with my family sometimes during Thanksgiving. But anyways, hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I say that is because when I hear people say Happy Thanksgiving, they say, I hope you and your family have a great time. What if you don't get along with your family? Or what if your family's far away and you just can't travel, right? A lot of things happen like that. So I always try to wish people a happy Thanksgiving, even if you're not with your family. But hope you had a great day. Black Friday, folks. And guess what? Another record spending Black Friday. That's what they're expecting here. This is what the reports are bringing us. And of course, they want you to look at this and they're going to say, well, everybody else is shopping. I might as well go shop too. I might as well go buy a new big screen TV. I've already got a 55-inch TV, but now I need a 65-inch TV, maybe a 70-inch, because that extra 10, 15 inches, it's going to make my life wonderful. They want you to go shopping, folks. Black Friday evolves into Black November. Early deals. Shoppers ought to head a potentially record-breaking Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So even with record levels of debt, folks, people are still going to go out and shop. So how are they doing this, folks? It's all based on, I'll give you 3 seconds to guess, debt. That wasn't quite 3 seconds. You didn't need 3 seconds, though. You know it's all based on debt, right? Not all of it. Not all of it. Just most people have to go further into debt to enable this type of spending here. This is all backed up by the banks. This is all backed up by the banks, folks, and the fact that money can just be created out of thin air to infinity ever since we came off the gold standard in the early 70s. Most of you know this, but now it's just being abused and used and abused so much that the creators of this currency should get arrested for counterfeiting. Some other news stories, though, to get into. Let's talk about this housing bubble. It's not just the U.S., folks. It's happening worldwide. We have Australia now. Prices going higher, and they're facing the same affordability problems as most people here in the U.S. Tight supply and lower interest rates lift Australia home prices. Tight supply, lower interest rates. So, sound familiar? They're lowering interest rates here, even though the cost of living is too high. The price of homes, automobiles too high. The cost of everything is too high. But they're lowering interest rates to keep the bubbles inflated. They don't want the bubbles to go bust. That's the name of the game. Something will happen, though, eventually to bust the bubble. And that's the worst case. That's actually the good case. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that nothing happens to bust the bubble and they just keep on inflating. And then it gets to the point of hyperinflation. We don't want that, folks. We want something to come in. We want a black swan situation. It only takes one derivative swap to go wrong to bring this whole house of cards down because everything is so over leveraged. Also, something that can scare the markets so big that even the billionaires that own most of the stocks and the hedge funds and the trading firms, they will start selling off their stocks, such as a global pandemic like we saw in 2020. Of course, they came in with record liquidity, record rescue programs to prop everything up, to prevent foreclosures, to prevent evictions, Band-Aid on the broken leg, kick the can down the road, whatever you want to call it. We all know what they did. And here we are now with inflation that's still continuing to worsen. So Australia is still seeing the pain, just like here in the U.S. From what I read, home prices in some of the cities over there, some of the larger cities like Melbourne and Sydney, are even worse than some of the worst cities here in the United States. And when I say worldwide, I mean it. Let's go up to Canada. See what's happening up there. Personal bankruptcies trending to new high in 2024. But we've got the leader up there telling everybody, just like down in the U.S., that the economy's good, right? The economy's strong. Everything's fine. 2024 bankruptcies and proposals surpassed 100,000 in September, just in 1 month. Wow. Are likely to end year 40,000 above 2021. So 2021 was the record before this. That was coming out of the pandemic, of course. And now we're breaking that record. So new all-time highs for bankruptcies in 2024 in Canada. But yet, same thing, they're being told everything is wonderful, nothing to worry about. Well, if there's enough rescue programs, they can keep the bubble inflated. There doesn't have to be a housing bust if they prevent foreclosures. We learned that in 2020, when if you look at the number of people that had mortgage forbearance, the rescue program, it was double of the number of foreclosures from 2008. So in other words, if it weren't for that program, the housing bust would have been twice as bad as 2008, folks. Something to think about. And again, here we are now with the consequences of all these market interventions. And that's just the cost of living exploding and not stopping, slowing down, but definitely not stopping. But yet, even with all this going on, look at this. Consumer confidence. I don't know if you believe it. Do you believe this? I'm not sure if I believe this. Consumer confidence rises to highest level since July 2023. I actually believe it because a lot of people have this hopium right now, and they're in this euphoria state that everything's going to be great. We're going to, what's the motto? We're going to make America great again. As if it was that great from 2016 to 2020. Was it really that great? The cost of living was still high. Inflation was still going up. Not as bad as 2020 and beyond, because 2020 to 2024 and currently, supposedly that was triggered by the health crisis. It wasn't really the health crisis. It was the response to the health crisis. The health crisis itself would have been deflationary with all the job losses. People couldn't pay their rent just after a few weeks. All the paycheck to paycheck crowd, which is most of the working class, would have, one, lost their home, or two, got evicted. And that would have created massive deflation, folks. I think home prices today, if it weren't for the programs and the intervention, I think home prices today, if it weren't for all those programs and interventions, I think home prices today, if it weren't for all those rescue programs, interventions, etc., in 2020 and beyond, I think home prices today would be probably about 30 to 40% where they were at that time, or less than what they were at that time. I think we would have saw about a 60 to 70% correction in the housing market. That's how big it was. That's how many people needed that mortgage forbearance. And we know, again, it was double of the number of foreclosures from 2008 if that would have actually been allowed to happen. All right, but people have a lot of hope, and I'm not trying to pull the rug out from under these people. Maybe they're right, maybe justified, that they have this hope that everything's going to get wonderful and great. And if you're making money now, it might be even better for you going forward in the next 4 years. I'm doing okay, considering I have a family here in California. Things are expensive here. I'm actually doing surprisingly well, and not everybody can say that, though. I know even single people having difficulty right now. Not that I'm such a genius or a great trader. I just happen to have bought the right home at the right time. And all right, let's jump over to some trending news, recent news here. Used vehicle prices drop in November 0.7%. Well, they went up in October. Now they dropped back down in November. But wait, November's not over yet. What are they doing putting these numbers out early? We still have today. Well, today is the 29th. And then the last day of the month is the 30th. We still have 2 days. Why are they reporting this already? Is Black Friday vehicle shopping a big thing? Is that like super sales, Black Friday sales? I think I did see a lot of Black Friday commercials. I think they should have waited before they put this number out, but it's only 2 days. We'll see how it goes. And vehicles are trending down, though, compared to the peak here. And actually, let me bring up a chart and see how far they're down total. And this is the Manheim Used Vehicle Index. And let me minimize myself here so y'all can see it. And this only goes up to mid-November, and that looks like an increase. If we zoom in, that looks like an increase in mid-November. The previous article told us, though, that prices dipped, and we still have 2 days to go, so we'll see who's right. But, of course, we see from the peak, we're down very significantly here. And are we about halfway now from when prices started really zooming higher in 2020? Not quite, but we've almost given up about half of those price gains since the big spike in 2020. And sales are very low, just like the housing market. Sales are low. People just can't afford it. You would think that car dealers would be cutting their prices more to get these vehicles off their lots, but they're not. Why is that? Because they're waiting for even lower interest rates, and I think they're waiting for some other programs to come out, like down payment assistance programs for vehicles, just like we have in the real estate market right now, and maybe even lower rates and some sort of boom or incentive to sell these cars. Otherwise, if they weren't waiting for something like that, the only other thing I can think of is that they're being told not to drop the prices on these vehicles so people can just remain in very high levels of debt and the banks can make more money. That way the loan balances will be higher, people paying more for these items, and therefore more dependent on banks and borrowing. Speaking of high rents, high housing costs, cost of living, let's go over to the BBC here. My landlord, 34% rent rise, felt like an eviction. This is somebody that was in a relationship, and the relationship ended. Whoever his partner was moved out, and he stayed there. And he was hoping that the rent wouldn't get increased because it was just a single income now. Turns out the rent got increased, all right, by 34%. He said he was in shock. And now he's basically what they call sofa surfing. He's living with his friends and staying on their couch. I've sofa surfed before, but only for like a day or two because I was maybe drinking or something like that. Never had to rely on a friend for housing, though. Landlords evicted Maui residents and housed wildfire survivors for more money. So sometimes these people get paid for housing victims of fires and natural disasters. And what they'll do sometimes, because the money can be a lot more, is they'll get rid of the tenants or tell the tenants something like, oh, we're going to make renovations, you need to move out for a while. I've read a few stories like that. But then they get the people in there that they get paid more money for. It's pretty insane, folks, what's happening there. Now, here's something very interesting. Amazon workers plan a strike between Black Friday and Cyber Monday in major cities around the world. So more people struggling financially, even these Amazon workers, not being paid enough because the cost of living is too high. Countries now with striking workers include the United States, UK, France, Germany, Japan, Brazil, India, Turkey. The striking workers will be supported by various unions, anti-poverty, and garment workers' rights groups, and others, according to UNI Global Union. The fact is, at Amazon, we provide great pay, great benefits, and great opportunities, all from day one. Amazon spokesperson said, we've created more than 1.5 million jobs around the world. That's the thing, they use the word great. They may think it's great pay, but when the cost of living keeps going up and when inflation is still rising, then great pay may not be great to the person barely scraping by. You know what I mean? So we're going to see more of this, folks. Where does it end? Will there be a rug pull or a missed button of some sort of missed trade, a missed derivative swap, or something like that that brings this house of cards down? We're going to find out, folks, in the next couple months. If not, it's going to be even worse, folks. It's going to be inflation like you would not even imagine. It could get much, much worse from here. All the tools they used to bring price levels to where they're at currently, they could keep doing them, and they could find more tools or find more programs to keep the bubbles from bursting, folks. It's pretty scary. But what do you think about all this? It's Black Friday. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody keep stacking. We'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now. Peace.